So we went to Costa Rica recently, and that was amazing.
It looked like it.
Oh, it was a dream. I still have yet to post my last 4 days from there, which were the best. And I'm so sad about it because that was like 7 months ago. And I just get so busy. And I'm like, I want to show people this. But like the best thing ever happened. I love animals with my whole life. And there was a sloth there that had fallen out of a tree. And so the story was kind of fun and cool. But like, he's fine now, so I'll start by saying that.
It was a rescue.
It was a rescue, yeah. So, I don't know. Do you know anything about sloths? I didn't at the time.
They're slow and they hang upside down.
Yes, so that's all I knew too. And I actually did not like them. I love animals, but I was like, those are gross and weird. I want nothing to do with it.
Mean claws.
Yeah, and kind of just creepy and funny looking is like what I thought. But then when you're out there in Costa Rica, you start to learn like how important sloths are for their culture. And like people just love sloths in Costa Rica even more than people here. Because like it's like their family in a way, for lack of a better explanation. But they have so many rescues for them and they like really try to care for them. I'm sure there's bad people everywhere who don't want that. But in general, that's the thing there. So when we would go on all these tours, all the national parks and stuff, you would look for sloths and you could see them like miles away through a telescope. And I used to think there would be sloths everywhere. People would say there would be sloths crossing the road and like getting in your way. And no, not at all. It's like a rare and beautiful thing to be able to see a sloth. And so I started like longing to see one closer. I was like, oh, I'm so upset. I can just see these cute little things in a telescope. I want to see one. So again, manifestation, I swear I brought this on. Like, I know it might sound crazy. Do you believe in manifestation?
I guess I don't know much about it.
Okay. I will just give you a quick thing. But basically, the idea is that whatever you say to yourself, say in your mind, say out loud, you will bring into the universe, into your realm or whatever you want to call it, and it will come to you. And maybe that's through work or just your focus toward it, but you can bring those things just based on your focus. And
I have heard a lot like self-fulfilling prophecy. Is that similar?
It's the same exact thing. But also it goes the other way. If you think
negative,
this bad thing's going to happen, it will. Like, I have a boating story to make that exactly clear. Like, if you think something bad is going to happen, you will bring that on.
Yeah.
If you think something good's going to happen. So I honestly am like, I swear I brought this sloth into our lives. But it was so cool because one of our tours, there was a sloth hanging in this like mesh in someone's store.
Yeah. Like
just a store on the side of the road. And it was funny because Brandon was up there recording it and he's like
They're
sleeping.
Like
and
stray dogs that people let.
Yeah, they let him hang out.
Okay.
So that was super funny, and we got to see him up close, but I was too short to see the sloth, and so he could just record it on a camera for me. But I was like, oh, I want to see him. He's like literally right there, and I can't touch him or see him. I mean, you're not really allowed to touch him, but I so desperately wanted to hold a sloth.
But we saw us when puppies would come into the office.
Yeah, so it's just
same thing.
Can't even live my life when I'm with a small animal. I just could die. I'm so happy. And so anyway, what happened is after all of these things, and I got to see monkeys up close, which was so fun and awesome, but I was like dying to see a sloth up close. So we go. There was a crazy situation where Brandon lost his drone. It's like a long story that I won't get into, but it led us to this mansion, which we may have been shot. Who knows? It could have been a drug lord's mansion. It was this beautiful mansion in Costa Rica on a hill overlooking Manuel Antonio. Beautiful. So he's going back, just totally in their backyard. Scary. They had cameras everywhere. And they were clearly nice people when I saw the floaties in the pool. I was like, these are good people. There are flamingos.
Floaties.
That's exactly right. No, they don't. I'm like, no, these people have a good sense of humor. We're fine. We're good. But the sloths were climbing on the power lines by their house. There were three. There were three. So we were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
Okay to do?
Apparently it is. So I was freaking out. At first I was like, he's gonna die when I saw the first one being super dramatic. That's what I do. I'm like looking for someone to help me. So I ran into a place and found a lady and I'm like, there's a sloth out here. We need to save him. And she's like, oh my gosh, they're totally fine. They don't get electrocuted somehow. I don't know if it's
birds.
Yeah, very strange, but they're fine. So this one we saw was totally fine. And then all of a sudden there were a bunch of people congregated around it. And I'm like recording it, so excited. I mean, it was me to you, but up on the power line. Mm-hmm. And I was like freaking out. And then Brandon, I hear him going, Destrie, get over here now. Destrie, get over here now. He's up toward the mansion, and I'm like, oh no,
Dad's
he's
angry.
in trouble. Yeah, I was like, he's in trouble. I'm going to go see what's up. And then there were 2 sloths on the ground, literally by his feet. And he's like, there were 2 sloths right here. So I'm like, I can't handle myself. This is overwhelming.
Take a breath. I need to breathe.
Oh, it was so awesome. And one of them starts running away. He's like making his getaway as fast as he could. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And the other one's just like laying face down, sleeping. I thought he was sleeping. So he's just hanging out there. No. So he's like, yeah, I thought you would want to see this. You're like congregated around all these people, but there are 2 sloths here. And so I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm just so.
I like him.
Yeah.
He's a good egg.
He is. And so he's like, I'm going to go find my drone now, but like enjoy the sloths. And so I'm like recording them, like freaking out, taking selfies. Look, there's sloth, recording videos. Typical Destrie fashion, 8,000 videos in one session. And
I love it.
I start thinking, you know what? This is not the sloth that sleeps in the day. I think he's not okay. Also, we had heard so much about sloths on all our tours that
you're educated at this point.
Totally. And I knew so much, like, okay, they come down once every 2 weeks to poop. He should not be on the ground. It's so dangerous for them to be on the ground. They're like major predator target because they're so freaking slow. And there's a lot of like, especially, I don't remember what it's called. I don't know what that giant, a panther, I found it, okay. Giant cat. So panthers really go after sloths. And so I was like, I gotta save him. I don't think he's okay. He shouldn't be down here. So I first start like poking his claw because I'm like, I shouldn't be touching them.
But the claw,
yeah. I'm like, that's safe. So I'm like lifting his claw up and stuff. And I'm like, are you okay, buddy? Are you okay? Wake up. Are you asleep? I don't know if you're asleep or okay. And I'm like poking him. And he's not responding at all. And I'm like, no. There's no way the sloth is dead. There's no way he's dead.
I won't accept it.
I won't. And I'm like, I'm not going to have sat here taking selfies with a dead sloth and left him alone, you know? And the other guy was with him. And so I'm like, something. No, I mean, it's hilarious. The other sloth was with him. I'm like, maybe something just happened.
Trying to save him.
Yes, he freaking was. They're so cute. And so anyway, I was like, I have to like really wake him up. So I'm like lifting his arms up at this point. I'm like, wake up, buddy, wake up. And he also goes, ew, like this little cry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're alive, but you're not okay. You're hurt. Clearly, it was a sad. Yeah. And so I'm like, what can I do for you? Are you okay? And at first, I still was like, or was that like a leave me alone? I'm sleeping. Like, yeah. I'm tired. But the more I got into it, I noticed he had blood on his back and on his head. And I'm like, oh, he's not okay. So Brandon found his drone in a jungle forest. It was a miracle. And he comes down. He's like, I found my drone. I'm like, okay, but this sloth, I think we need to save him. He's like, what do you mean?
He's like, I don't have the time.
Save him? What are we going to do? Save him? And I'm like, yeah, he's hurt. We got to save him. And so I start calling all these sanctuaries in the area because there were a ton. And they're all like, nope, we can't. We can't help you. We can't come get him. Nope. And I'm like, what are you people talking about? He's still alive. And I was getting so mad. So I'm like, Brandon, call the fire department. Who can save him? So he calls them and they're like, maybe we'll come, but doubt it. So I was getting so frustrated. I'm like, I know there's a lot of these, but like this one is still, I know. I'm like, who's going to save him? So I finally called one like 6 hours away from us. And I was like, can you guys come get him? You're my last hope. You're like the last one on the list. And they said, legally, we cannot. But you can pick him up and take him to any sanctuary and they will save him. I was like, what do you mean? I guess they have some laws that they can't pick him up. I'm assuming because a lot of people try to keep them as pets, but they can't care for a sloth. So I assume that's what it was about. Anyway, so Brandon takes what is it called? The mat out of the car, and he puts the sloth on the mat, and I cuddle him in the back of our car.
Your dreams are coming true.
And I'm bawling, cuddling a sloth in the back, and it was repulsive. I'll tell you the truth. No. He was covered in shit, and he had fleas and bugs. I think I saw like 6 different insects on him, just like species of insects. It was horrible, but I was like never happier in my whole life. I was like, you're gonna be okay, buddy. Oh, so we drive him to sanctuary. He was crying the whole time and he was holding his head. It was like the saddest and cutest thing. He's just holding himself. And I'm like, oh my gosh, baby, we're gonna save you. So it was funny. I
love animals.
The best. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, weren't you scared? They can like retaliate, lash out, which they can, but he knew we were saving him.
Also,
he was so
didn't
thankful.
have any energy.
Yeah, he had really gotten hurt. So they open up, when we get to the sanctuary, they open up the back where I was like just holding him, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, because I'm just like, oh, he's gonna be okay. So I hand him over, and he's just bawling like, wah, this little cute sloth noise. And they were like, we've never heard a sloth cry this much ever in our whole years of doing the sanctuary. Like, he was really hurt. Yeah, and so we named him Finley, and he was so cute. I have like the cutest videos of him, and Brandon was awesome. He asked the sanctuary to give us updates, and so they kept updating us until he was released like a couple weeks later. So I'm so
glad you found him.
Mm-hmm. Brandon. I know, and Finley, but Brandon.
Brandon, honestly.
Yeah. He's so on my same page with everything, and he knows how much I love animals that he brings it to me. Like, we went to another animal rescue.
It when you're like, we're doing this. This is what we want to do.
Yes, and he gets so much joy out of seeing me with animals. So now he's bringing these situations into my life. Like, we just went to San Diego, and it was a rescue as well, and I got to literally just like hug and cuddle a kangaroo, and I never thought that would happen, but he was so sweet and like wanted to be cuddled and would like scratch me. It was hilarious and cute. And then we just went to a farm with his family where I was kissing alpacas, and I swear to you, it's just like, if I could have a farm with every animal in the world just with me, I would. Yeah. But maybe someday. That's the next goal.
There you go.
Yeah.